So we got some new gifts today, thanks to Tein. Check out what they sent me. We've got the EDFC kit. Not only that, but we also got the optional GPS kit. And then over here are the servos that get mounted on top of the Tein Flex Z dampers. So the purpose of this kit is for us to be able to adjust the damping inside of the vehicle. Not only that, but this GPS kit that they sent me is going to allow you to collect GPS data. It'll tell the computer what your speed is, and based on your speed, it'll adjust your damping. So it's pretty neat stuff. It'll also give you other readings on the screen, like altitude, so on and so forth. I think there's a trip meter and things like that. But what you got here is got your little, you got ECUs, probably some relays, wiring harnesses, but most importantly, you've got the little controller. This is the controller right here. I'm hoping that Steven will be able to, 3D print something for me so we can create a mount for this in the Model Y as well as the Model 3. But yeah, check it out. So we've got that, and I can show you the rest is just, all the harnesses and the wiring. So over here we've got the servos. These servos will mount to the top of the damper, so basically where the little clicker is. And so you'll actually end up removing the small adjustment knob, and then this will sit on top of it in place of that, and you can see this kind of little Allen key that'll go inside of the shock. And then it'll be controlled by your controller right here. But yeah, this will be exciting to see. That way we can adjust the damping on the fly. It'll also be able to use the GPS feedback, as they call it, their active damping system. So it'll be really cool to see what this thing will do. And again, big thanks to Tein for sending me some new stuff so that we can test this out. Get it on the Model Y, hopefully in the next couple of days. We'll show you guys the results.
All right, so here we have the Tein EDFC unit that we're going to be installing on our Tein Flex Z coilovers. Out here I have it all laid out and plugged in to all the units, so we can just figure out how it works and make sure we have all our wiring and make sure the unit is working properly before we get it installed in the car. So right now I have it all wired up so we can do a short little demonstration of how it works just on a bench scenario. And then we'll go through installing the servos onto the two coilovers that are left over here. We already did these two over here. Okay, so here we have my power supply, which is a good old Milwaukee battery. And we have the Tein filter unit. This is for, I believe, filtering any RF noise that there might be in the car. And then we have the signal converter and the display. Then we have the two servo drivers here. And these only need power. They work wirelessly from there. They only need 12-volt power. Okay, so we're going to power it up here. Just plug in my little battery. You can see the display turning on here. So now the unit is fully powered up, and we can just adjust the front. And it's that simple. And then once our GPS unit is installed, this system can actively control the damping while we're driving. Okay, go. We're going to continue to back it out if it's, make sure it's still loose. All right, so we're here at the back of the Model Y, and we wired in the EDFC module to the cigarette lighter power. So we have a little T-tap here with the 12 or the 5 amp fuse, and then running it over to our downgraded voltage regulator so we can output 12 volts instead of 15. And that goes into our servo module here stuck up on the fender. And then we have our servo wires running across for the right side servo. And we'll show a picture on the screen of a close-up of all that. All right, so we're just about done installing the Tein EDFC on this Model Y Performance. And one thing we wanted to note was that, just to err on the side of caution, we installed a DC to DC converter to make sure that it's outputting 12 volts to the EDFC system. Tein calls out that it only operates on 12 volts. It doesn't have any sort of additional range that they talk about. So we just wanted to do this just in case, because the new generation of Teslas all come with a 15 volt battery. So it's not a typical 12 volt system you'd find in a normal car. So just wanted to point that out. We installed this little converter here. We're just going to tuck it out underneath next to the servo module and tidy it all up, but we just added that in between just to be safe. Ready? Okay, so we just pulled off the carpet that's exposing the passenger side, all the wiring that goes through the Tesla here. And what we're going to look for is this orange-red wire. This is a switched 15 volt wire. That's what we're powering our EDFC control module with. And we're going to demonstrate that when the vehicle turns on, it gets 15 volts. When it turns off, it turns off. All right, so this is our T-tap that we already put on this wire. This isn't here from the factory. This is our wire that we have going to the EDFC unit. So this is what you're going to have to put on here. So right now, off, and then Tim's going to start up the car by pushing the brake pedal. And there we go, 15.5 volts. And the same thing that we did in the front and the rear, we added the DC to DC converter to downgrade this to 12 volts just to be on the safe side, since we weren't sure about if this unit would be safe at 15.5 volts. And he's going to turn it off and it'll turn off. There we go. Now we have switchable power on our EDFC unit. All right, so here we got our control unit and the filter unit that are just double-sided taped to the chassis of the Tesla, and along with our DC to DC converter right there along with it. And then we have our ground wire right here on the chassis, and then our red wire over there goes underneath this foam panel into our switched power. And that's it as far as the wiring goes to the control box there. And then we have our screen and GPS wire that comes up behind, right in front of the HVAC unit. And then we just have it tucked in here. It's just tucked in. Pretty simple, it's nice and hidden. And then we have our little 3D printed mount here that's stuck to the back of the screen. And this is our GPS. We haven't decided where to stick that yet.
All right, so I've had the Tein EDFC installed in the Model Y for the past 2 days. The guys did a great job installing it. Steven went and 3D printed a mount for me so that we could kind of position this so you guys can see when I adjust the dials. Just after first 2 days of driving, I'm not much into too many electronics and gimmicks per se. I never really believed in all this stuff because I figured once you set it, you forget it. And there's no need to spend all this money on electronics. But after being able to adjust this thing on the highway to find damping that is most suitable for the highway and for the street was a real treat. So, you know, there's a Bible of instructions here for all of the active damping settings. Right now, we're just in manual mode. If you can see down here, we put an M. I have not had the time to go in and figure out how to program all the active damping stuff. So what we're going to do is show you guys that you can stiffen or soften the damping with these dials in manual mode. And then on the next video, after I get a few weeks working with this system and programming it, because there's literally like the GPS, it'll take signals for active damping based on speed, based on G-forces. I mean, there are so many things that you can program into it. You can actually program conditions into the system where it'll have specific settings that are constant until it hits a trigger. Once it hits a trigger, then the active dampers go into effect, or your active programming goes into effect. So it's pretty intense. I mean, it can show you how you can set up your values, your changes independent of each other, I assume, front to rear, when you hit different G loads. So yeah, pretty intense. So I'm gonna have to make an additional video to supplement this one to really talk about the functions of this active EDFC Pro system with GPS. Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you appreciate the information we provide. And if you can, please like, subscribe, and share.